We will struggle if, was the title. And what comes after that is, if we don't take several simple steps to move with the changing landscape. Hello, I'm Darryl Brooks, proud owner of DNA Apparel, and we believe in the power of fashion to inspire confidence and self-expression. Today, we're going to talk about how AI is shaking up things. So sit back, relax, and peep the moves we're making. Let's do it. Welcome back. Today, we're going to show you why making certain adjustments means so much and why building leaders that serve communities is so important. Something I've said previously, this is the time to take advantage of the opportunities that exist is more relevant now than ever before because of a major disruption on the horizon. This isn't the first time big changes have disrupted our way of doing business. You may not remember when the cotton gin was invented and how it helped to remove the seeds from cotton, or when phone operators got replaced by automated switchboards. They were game changers. Even though they were before our time, I remember hearing about Eli Whitney's inventions and seeing the videos of women working at the telephone exchanges. They were great ideas that unintentionally hurt a lot of people. Now we have artificial intelligence, AI, and it is in a position to reshape our workforce. Although still in its infancy, the potential applications of AI are evident, raising questions about its commercial implications. Let's face it, AI is a product that big business will use to make a lot of money. But before we get too deep, let's slow down, rewind a bit, and reflect on some past upheavals, such as the transition from agriculture to industrial age. Before the industrial age, indigenous cultures in America were thriving. Some scientists believe that trade between the indigenous people of America and foreign countries like those in Africa were done peacefully. There were items found in sarcophagus, statues, various arts, and clothing designs that showed a swapping of cultural ideas. However, we don't hear much about those indigenous cultures until the colonial age. That was when Spain and Great Britain started colonizing the Americas. But soon enough, those colonies got feisty, broke away from the British monarchy, and started Revolutionary War. Then came the antebellum period, which saw the U.S. expanding like crazy because people were fueled by this idea called manifest destiny. During that time, the cotton gin was creating large sums of money for plantation owners. However, the growing demand of cotton caused mass cotton cultivation that led to overharvesting that damaged the fertile soil, pushing the industry further west. But that also meant a lot more harm to indigenous cultures and increased the brutal slave trade, eventually sparking a civil war. In the agricultural South, many African Americans worked as laborers on plantations, contributing to the production of crops such as cotton, tobacco, and sugarcane. With the onset of industrialization, some migrated to the urban areas in search of a better economic opportunity, particularly in the North. In the industrial North, African Americans found employment in factories, steel mills, railroads, and other industries. They labored as steel workers, machinists, railroad workers, and in other skilled and unskilled positions. Cities like Pittsburgh, Chicago, Detroit became hubs for African American industrial labor. The industrial age took over. Think steel, railroad, oil, and factories. Big names like Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Morgan were calling the shots. But while they got mega rich, lots of regular folks were stuck in tough jobs with lousy pay and long hours. Just when things seemed settled, bam, World War I hit, followed by the Great Depression, and then the New Deal. World War I pushed America onto the world stage. With men off to war, the women stepped up in factories. And after the war, black communities started to bloom because they weren't welcome in white communities. In cities like Washington, D.C., Chicago, Tulsa, Durham, and New York, blacks created their own economic hubs. Some called it their own Black Wall Street. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Yet amid progress, systematic inequalities persisted. African Americans, despite contributing significantly to industrialization, faced discrimination and economic hardship. Racial tensions, urban renewal, desegregation caused problems for black communities. And then there was a Great Depression, which further exacerbated disparities, prompting government intervention through welfare, Social Security, and minimum wage policies to help folks get back on their feet. So yeah, disruptions have been part of the story all along. Despite adversity, communities persevered, finding ways to progress. However, systematic obstacles like racism, socioeconomic inequality hindered collective advancement. Some blacks began making enough money to buy some boots with bootstraps to pick themselves up with. Now that term, picking ourselves up by a bootstrap, always sounded strange to me because the people who stole our boots asked us to pick ourselves up with them. However, the metaphor of pulling oneself up by the bootstraps originally intended sarcastically, or to suggest that it was an impossible accomplishment. And it seemed impossible for black communities to rise because they were being burned down, flooded, gentrified, and redlined, the systematic barriers faced by marginalized communities. That reminded me of a recent trip from Virginia. My family and I was returning home to North Carolina on the Highway 58. While driving, I noticed a historical marker mentioning something about Dred Scott. Now that name sounded familiar, but at the time, I didn't remember why. So I made a mental note and researched it when I got home. Dred Scott was a slave that became freed and wanted to vote, but the Supreme Court said that he could not because a black man's opinion was never respected by whites. So life for blacks appear a whole lot better than it did hundreds of years ago. Blacks can vote, but they're encouraged to vote Democrat. Blacks can attend any school they can afford, and if they can't afford one, the public school to prison pipeline is available. Blacks can buy housing, own property, and own businesses. We definitely need to buy more land. Before I go too far down that rabbit hole, let me get back on track about AI and disruptions. So the point I was trying to make is that we need to move with the changing landscape. We can't stop AI from growing and learning, but we can join the revolution and use AI to better ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I'm not just talking about blacks, I'm talking about everybody. We can put ourselves in positions of wealth that are not threatened by technology. There'll always be external forces that can slow us down, but we are the only ones that can stop us. Racism, slavery, and hatred are external forces, and that has hurt many people and has killed folks, but they haven't stopped everyone affected by them. And from this, they still grew and thrived, just like natural disasters. There's always a tornado on the horizon, but we still build and grow. In fact, anything that you do with intention will cause disruption. However, we have to learn how to work through it to get to our destiny. If we want to get in better shape, we have to have the intentionality to eat different foods and exercise, which means our taste buds will reject some new foods and our body will ache. I'm going through that myself right now. All right. But anyway, in order to overcome any disruption that AI will create in the workplace, we will need to change the way in which we create income. The days when we used to find a career and work until retirement age may come to an end one day. Working for others may just be one of several means of income that we create. We need to learn how to make our money make money. We can invest in real estate and become realtors and landlords. We can buy cars for rentals. We can become health care service providers for children and seniors. In conclusion, while disruptions are inevitable, our ability to adapt and innovate defines our resilience. By confronting changes, we can forge a more equitable and prosperous future for all. Check the description for a curated list of businesses and services resilient to AI disruption. As we draw this journey to a close, I urge you to join us in embracing the ethos of just us. Connect with us on social media, explore our collection, and become part of a community dedicated to wearing our stories, embracing diversity, and making a difference. Until next time, remember, the threads of our past may shape us, but it's our choices that define us. Wear your stories, embrace diversity, and make a difference.